Okay. Okay. I will be monitoring the chat. If something comes up while Candice is presenting, please feel free to hit the chat, and she's let me know that if there's something that I need to just interrupt her with because it is relevant to exactly what she's saying at that moment, that's fine. So I'll be monitoring the chat. I will monitor the waiting room a little bit too. So hopefully we've got everybody who's going to be here. Thank you everyone for making this commitment tonight to spend an hour learning about this topic, this platform, and this really cool resource. I'm Jenny Wood with Iowa Soccer. Our conversation tonight is with Fearless and Capable founder and lead mentor, Candice Fabry. Candice, prior to launching this passion project, Mentoring Women in Sport, was the Director of Member Services for Iowa Soccer for 4 years. And in addition to handling the technology behind the player coach team registration and compliance, Candice ushered in important risk management initiatives before they were required. Candice coached in our Iowa ODP program. She did a bunch of other things, but I think the big legacy too that she left was launching an educational initiative known as our Iowa Soccer Symposium, which we just had this past weekend. Even without her, she left us in a good spot with that. Iowa Soccer is pleased to partner with Candice and with Fearless and Capable. She's going to do a much better job of introducing herself and what this is than I am. But as part of this partnership, our organization is showing an investment and a commitment to raising the profile of the need for this mentorship for women in sport. So with that, I'm pleased to pass this over to Candice. We'll take about 45 minutes of the presentation and reserve questions for the end, but I will monitor the chat. So if something comes up, feel free to let us know. Candice, welcome and thank you very much.
Thank you. It's like my old stomping ground again on technology and talking to Iowa folks. So this is a little maybe PTSD, but not too much. So I really appreciate everyone jumping on tonight. I know it's a little bit later and maybe jumping off the field. I am one of the more recent job additions to my professional life right now is I did become a college coach. And so I am about 3 weeks into a head coaching role. And so had training tonight, and it was exceptionally warm here in Kansas City, which is where I live now, at about 83 degrees. So we've had a fantastic transition, and I very much miss the Iowa landscape and the Iowa people first and foremost. I do dearly miss interacting with each of you on an almost daily basis, if not seasonal basis. But the transition for my family and I has gone very well living in Kansas City, and we're quite happy. So, and one of the things that just with any sort of new chapter in life, I was able to reflect and sit and think about some of the things that I have done, some of the things I want to do, and obviously the things I'm passionate about. And this mentorship is something that has been a lifetime goal. And whether I knew it or not, most of the time I didn't. But I was always someone that I felt, cared about what others' experiences were like, and could try to find ways to put myself in your shoes or have empathy, or just want to help you stay in the game, because I love this game so stinking much, that I know that I am a better wife, a better mother, a better coach, a better partner, a better daughter, a better everything, when my life has some involvement in the game. And so, I think about a lot of times as a woman and looking around, not always in a room full of women, and oftentimes being one of the very few, if not the only, where and how did I get this understanding that this is something I could do? And so I always kind of throw this picture up. I don't know, 12. And if you can figure out which one is me, it's not too hard. And why I love that much hairspray, I would never know in this lifetime. But I had a coach, a female coach, and she had a baby. She had 2 actually in the time that she coached me. And so this was her with her first son in our team photo. And the reality was I did not ever probably have to question in my mind, can I be a mom and coach? Because that was there, the representation was there in front of me at such a young age. And so that was never Could I be? Now, how I would do it, that's a whole nother question. But it was always there, because that if I can see her, I can be her, actually rings amazingly true. And so as women, we look around and we don't see ourselves in certain roles, or we suddenly see a female in the role, it can kind of strike us as like, I didn't think about that as an option for me. And so, as women that are passionate about the game, there's often a lot of times in here that we hold these roles, and I kind of alluded to it, but life has been this amazing journey that has had my ups and downs, the moments I'm proud of and the moments I'm not so proud of. But one of the things I talk a lot about is that, for most of you, you maybe knew me as the registrar, or you saw a coach side, or maybe you saw moments of me as a mother. Me as an entrepreneur is something fairly new and recent. But there's other identities about me that spoke to the passions and the reasons I do things. I'm a sexual assault survivor. I was assaulted by my head college coach. I'm a big advocate for female rights and female initiatives. And obviously, one of the things I started when I was in Iowa was the Iowa Women in Soccer Alliance, and trying to have this fearless and capable kind of 1.0 going on in that, trying to give a place that, for women that are looking for the opportunity to connect and maybe have some relatability to experiences it wasn't really found. And so I want all of us to think about those identities that maybe our colleagues only see portions of. What are those for you? And when we start to actually look at not just the identities that women hold, because most oftentimes I'm asked about, how are you a mom and a coach? What's interesting is that I was on regional staff for the Midwest on the boys interregional tournament, and I was one of 2 females on the entire coaching staff down in this Orlando event. And I happened to be next to my husband 99% of the time, who's also a coach. And he really got to see right in front of his eyes how many times I was asked about the kids, and no one else was asked. He was never asked about the kids. They're his kids too, but he got to see that there was just this identity that I held as a parent that was never really put on him. The questions were soccer to him. How are you dealing with the kids? How are the kids doing? And so it's an important identity, but it's something that, as we look at the people that are working in our clubs and in our environments, are we understanding how their other roles and identity may impact the identity we interact with the most with them? And so when we understand a little bit more of the whole pie, and when we give comfort for people to bring all of themselves to the table, I think that's where we're going to start making progress. And that's on male and female. And, this is not strictly a conversation just for supporting women. It is the conversation, though, talking about minorities. And so how can allyship be something that's significant? And we're going to get into that. But just start thinking a little bit of your own place. And with that, I want you to think of 3 questions. And I'll give you just a brief second to kind of reflect. And the first question I want you to ask yourself is, who helped you out when you began? So whatever you are right now, if you are a referee, if you are an administrator, if you're a coach, if you're just a soccer enthusiast, when you've kind of taken on this role, board of director as well, who was there when you first started? Who was that person? And then the second question I want you to think about is, who was there for you when you were in doubt or struggling about your job? Could be the same person, could be somebody different. Who was there for you? And then who was there to give you guidance and feedback? Real guidance and feedback, not just the pat on the back, not the, hey, for a girl, like, you really know this stuff. Yeah, because that's real life for me too. You know what, for a woman, you're like doing this, you're doing this. It's awesome. Yeah, awesome. I'm also just a coach at the same time and not a female coach. But who was there? Who was there for you? Now, if that's the same person, go thank them. If it's 3 different people, go thank all 3 of them. All right. Because each of us have, hopefully, those individuals. But the more and more that I have gotten into this subject, and more I have talked to women across the country working in the soccer industry, and honestly, the sports industry, these questions are harder and harder for them to answer. And part of it is, I think, a lot of times we don't have female mentors. And part of one of the things I'm doing, and I'll talk about, is getting more women to recognize themselves as a mentor. But the other part is that sometimes when we are looking for these individuals to help us out and be supportive, it can be intimidating. We can sometimes question motives. As someone frank and honest with you that dealt with trauma directly with the opposite gender, that played a part in conversations for me. That put guards up because I wasn't always sure of intentions. When I got guidance and feedback, as I was kind of alluded, that always had this sexist twist to it. It always made me feel less because I'm a woman, I'm doing good for a woman. So what I'm saying to you is think about the people you may have in your life. And if you don't have somebody, then let's chat, because hopefully I'm finding some ways here that I can show you to help give you people that can give you guidance and feedback, who can be there when you're in struggle or in doubt. And so part of what Fearless and Capable has really been about, since I really put kind of all these jumbled ideas and thoughts in my head and really started to put it down to paper, is all about consistency and impact. And when we can put consistency and impact into one space where we're not just going to say, hey, we're here for you on the rough days. We're going to be here for the rough days. We're going to be here for the days that you want to pivot and shift. We're going to be here for the days that you want to take it to the next level. We're going to be here for the days that you just kicked butt. I'm going to watch my language here, that you do these things. When we know that there's a space that you can go into, that is huge. And talking to, again, more and more women, that space to find a safe, open, relatable group of people that helps in those moments of doubt, that helps in those moments of struggle, is going to start to turn this ship where we see women coming into the industry in certain roles and then just going, it's not for me. And a lot of times they'll just go, it's not for me. But when you dig deeper into the answers, what you tend to find is that they felt like no one really cared about their development except for them. But then, and we're going to get to why they didn't put their development needs out in public. So they felt like no one really wanted to help them out, that there was always this twinge of getting pre-assigned things like, you're with the younger ones. You'll be great because you've got this motherly touch. Trust me, every woman is not, we don't have all of that. Trust me, it's not instinctual. It's something I had to discover in a lot of ways for my own self. And so there's these biases that come into it. And so they feel pigeonholed. They feel like they can't relate. And then they feel like it's hit or miss. It's when they want something out of me. And so when that is such a frequent experience for so many in the industry, if we can create a space that helps with the people that are doing the job really, really well, and I say that from our mentee level, so you're thinking your entry level, maybe there's somebody on the cusp and ready for leadership, if we can get support to those individuals. And then there are amazing mentors. I am in this game still because I had amazing male mentors. Truth, like the 4 top mentors I had were all men that kept me in this game. And because they believed in me, they were authentic. They gave me real advice and feedback. They were there when I struggled and had questions. And they gave me networking opportunities when I needed them. And so I'm there because these guys existed. And if we can come in and also support the amazing male allies and amazing male mentors as, again, additional alignment in what we're looking to do, which is help more women get into the industry, we're going to start making progress. So I hope you're buying into the fact that this is something that is aiming to be there every single day, so that we're not opening up an application time and hoping you don't want to quit between the time that you're in struggle and the time the open application comes for mentorship. We're there tonight, we're there tomorrow, so that we can help talk and keep them in the game. And why does this matter? Well, because as women, we oftentimes struggle. And again, I am one woman with one lived experience, but I have talked to a lot of women and done a lot of research to try to understand mentorship is going to come, and the desire for mentorship is going to come out of wanting to improve ourselves. And so this is a pretty consistent answer and a consistent thought process for women in particular when I have talked to them. Okay, not every woman is going to fit this mold, and my encouragement is from you leaving this conversation is to talk to the women in your environment, talk to the female and the as referees, as coaches, as administrators, as board directors. Okay, get their take on what lived experiences they have, in particular with your organization. But in that cusp of understanding that there is a lot of commonality and overlap, this healthy self-interest that we want to instill, I'm trying to instill it in my daughter and my son, but in particular to my daughter. But why? Well, if we think back, go back to like the playground, okay? At the playground, and right now, I faced this with my daughter and I've told the story. I had one soccer ball at the playground, which irritates me beyond belief, but that's a different discussion for a different day. But she wanted to play soccer, okay? And so what did they tell her? I don't know, you just go play, like go play hopscotch, or like, you know, go play on the gym with your friends. Okay, so hold on. We can't just, you know, encourage her to go play the competition stuff. We're going to throw her into an activity and encourage her to go play, you know, something that is very non-confrontational, non-conflict, not competitive per se. Maybe you've played a mean game of hopscotch. I haven't recently, but we've been kind of instilled to be, the boys are over there playing these competitive, conflicting sports where you get the boys are just going to be boys when over there wrestling and fighting. And then you get girls over here playing, and when they do it, it's all be nice to each other, be nice, which isn't bad. And I'm not trying to say we shouldn't have girls be nice and we shouldn't have boys have competition, but why can't both be both? Why can't we have respect? Why can't we teach these things? But as young girls, when we're taught that we need to not have conflict, we need to get along, and I can't be better, because if I'm better, then I might hurt your feelings. This is where that healthy self-interest, that healthy desire to want to be as good as you can be, starts to get a little subdued. And then we kind of grow into our teenage years. You know what job we're going to be? We're going to be babysitters. So you know what that means? Everybody's interests and everybody's needs to come at the forefront. My responsibility is to take care of you. I might need something, but my responsibility is to take care of you. Again, not a bad thing. But if we think about, we now have a progression of young girls who are not dealing with conflict, that are being told to be nice, to play nice, don't be too good, don't be too much, okay? To now take care of everyone else. You know, this is the forefront. And now they're gonna grow up and they're gonna have these thoughts about wanting to succeed, to wanna go out and make a statement. And when we talk passionately, when we talk with, you know, some force in our voice, we're emotional. We're the big B word. All right. And so all of these things have happened. Candice, just de-emotionalize what you're saying. Candice, it's too much. Candice, you sound a little angry. Maybe I am. But how and where can we start to understand that a lot of times the women in our organizations may struggle to come and say, I would like to take part in this activity or this program or this license, coaching, referee license, maybe an education seminar, because a lot of times we have not been told it's okay to come advocate for ourselves, to do something that will better ourselves. It's not about an ego. It's about learning to ask for what we want, to say no to what we don't want, and to tell others what we think and feel without the fear of repercussions and retaliation. And so mentorship at the core of it is saying, I want to better myself and I want to connect with people that will help me do that. And so where and how, if you're a club leader, a leader within the organization of some sort, how can you look at the minorities in your group and understand that the request to be a part of something might be more difficult, and that maybe your role is to come invite them into a space? And if you're someone that is not in the decision-making role and you would love to take part of this program at the end of the day, how and where do you get the confidence, the ability to support in terms of going to someone and saying, I want to be a part of this, and I want to see if you can help me be a part of this? So those are things that play in that we sometimes maybe don't always capture. And when we talk about all those identities, that's a difficult part. My shift of being a mother and then going to the fields and then going to business meetings, those take all different skill sets, but at the same time blending into something where my kids know where I want to be and how I want to operate to be a role model for them, how I want the business to understand that I can be a mother and an entrepreneur and do all these other things and still be able to be successful. And when I'm on the field with the teams, I want them to see that this is an opportunity they can have in the future, that they can be this, they can be in soccer for the rest of their lives if they want. And so these are really things that I hope you can kind of take when you go back to those questions of who was there for you when you were in doubt, who were you going to when you're in struggle. There might be a lot of women that struggle with finding those people. Because that's self-advocating, that's having a healthy self-interest to want to better yourself. So at the core of what I've tried to create to have a solution, because again, we can complain and complain and complain, but if there's no solution or any attempts at a solution, that's just wasted space for me. And so being someone who has tried to be solution oriented, and at times I'll, in quotes, apologize for Blue Star / Stack Sports / US Soccer Connect as try to have a solution. That's maybe a little too much PTSD for everybody on the call, but trying to do something that gives a support network at their fingertips in small groups and in a one-on-one situation. And so at the end of the day, we're trying to build a fearless mindset and a belief in the capabilities to achieve. And so we have a membership platform. It's available on the desktop. It's also available in a mobile app. It gives them resources. It gives them access to online courses, and it gives them an ability to have communication with people that are part of the program. They can see who is a mentor in the program, where they live, what title they hold, and anything else the mentor is willing to share about themselves. They can see other members in the program and be able to connect with them if they see somebody in a similar field, and or maybe a field they are excited to explore. They have that opportunity to connect with them directly. The courses are really focused at self-growth and having really tangible things to consider and actually do. They're never just a read. I'm not a novelist or an author. I'm really oriented and trying to get us from step A to step Z. And so how do we get into that process? And it really gives them a lot of chances to think about what they want. I'll be really honest with you. I think balance, and the word balance, can be a really, really difficult word to throw out on an everyday basis to say you should have balance. I'm a proponent of priorities and priority shift, and how we maximize our high priorities and how we be efficient in our low to mid priorities, and recognize over our lifetime our priorities will shift based off knowing where we want to go, our vision, our ideals, is what we talk a lot about in this program. Not about having balance. Ultimate balance kind of comes at the end, when that final whistle blows in your lifetime, that you kind of look back and go, I know I was working towards this for myself, for my life and my career. And that's where that comes from. And so a lot of these worksheets are helping them to define and think about where they want to go, so that they can create those processes to get them there. So it's really that fingertips, people to connect with, resources to gather, all on a mobile device or on their computer. And we host workshop events every month, and we host team huddles, which are basically small group mentoring, each month. And it all is directly within the platform. Our workshop events are always recorded, so they have this resource library that are hosted by amazing mentors in our program, giving skill set and mindset talks. We also have these, like I was kind of alluded to, the team huddles, which are informal. They're not recorded. They're a chance to come in, ask questions of others in the network. So they really get that opportunity to, one, sit silent if they want to, two, engage if they feel the need and the desire to. And then honestly, we give chances to lead. One of the proponents that I have, held really dear and near is that we give more minorities the opportunities to lead. Start in the small ways and then give them those chances to build confidence. Confidence comes from having successful moments. And so we give these small group chances for people to really share what they've been doing, or give a chance to kind of talk about some of the accomplishments they've had, or maybe even accomplishments, which is just simply, I'm now talking about my struggles and what I'm facing, which can be a difficult task for some, but really trying to give them that opportunity to have a safe place where they know there's going to be that relatability, to come in and talk to other women working in the sports industry, and particularly soccer. Like, the bread and butter is the one-on-one mentoring, and our one-on-one mentoring is not this, hey, I have these great, amazing mentors that come in, and then you tell me where you're working at and what you do, and then I'm just going to pair you up and you guys go. No, I want to hold a lot more accountability to the process for the benefit of the the mentee. And so there's a few things we do to try to help with quality control on this, as well as give the mentee the best chance for success in reaching the outcomes that they're setting by entering into this mentoring relationship. So we start with profile assessments. So our mentees complete a profile assessment. Our mentors do a similar one when they sign up to be a mentor, and I'll get into our mentors here in a second. So they complete this profile assessment, and then they do an orientation and training. So before they ever get paired up, they're going to tell me about themselves, and they're going to get into some understanding and baseline expectations to what mentoring really can do for them and what we expect of them in their role as a mentee. So there's a profile training, and then once they're paired up with a mentor that's gone through our program on the training side as a mentor, they are going to have a discovery call, which gives them this really nice chance to come in, no strings attached, and have this conversation to see if the mentor is someone they think they have some natural trust and rapport with. Again, giving them the healthy self-interest initiatives and motivation, and then telling them to come back to me and say, yes, I think it works, or no, I don't think it works. Again, it's a small step, but it means a lot at the end of the day when they can say they can control their journey. So at the end of that discovery call, I connect. Does it match? Does it not match? If it doesn't, we go back to the drawing board, because I will show you here, we've got 40 plus mentors and we're constantly growing and adding. Or they can say, yep, it looks good. And once that step is done, we've entered into the actual mentoring relationship, which has a mentoring agreement where we create outcomes and desired tools we're going to use. We even opt in to bring the direct supervisor into the conversation if that is something the mentee wants. So we've got a lot of ways to try to create a path for what we're going to try to achieve in the time we're spending together. Most mentoring sessions, last about 60 minutes. They can, obviously have one, they can have multiple sessions. We can cater to the a frequency in which they want to host these sessions. A lot of them we encourage about once a month, so that there are action steps and things they are going to do in between meetings. And this is really purposeful. In my opinion, my research and everything that I believe about a mentor, and one of the reasons I have really embrace what this role can do, is because I'm a firm believer that our mentors are in the space between the reflections that we have and the decisions we're going to make. A mentor cannot reflect for you. You had the experience, you have information from that experience. So you're going to bring those reflection moments, those thoughts, those considerations, the data, hopefully, as well to your mentor and say, this is how I'm perceiving this has happened to me. And then I know I'm going to make this decision next, whether it's, a job change, or whether it's just improving this area, or, I'm working with somebody on working to say no and setting boundaries a little bit more. So, they're going to go out and they're going to make a decision, but the mentor is never going to make the decision for you. So this mentor is going to sit in this amazing space between how you're perceiving what's happened and what you're going to do next. And they're going to ask questions. They're going to give you resources. They're going to have people you go talk to. And when you look at that being the relationship, that you are in ultimate control to still perceive what's happened and make the next step, your mentor can be such a valuable tool to help you with how did you really take on that information, and how might you take the next best steps in alignment with your vision and your ideals. And so when that one-on-one mentoring happens, it's really cool to kind of watch the journey that is taken from what they want to work on and how it comes out at the end. And the hope is that, again, there's something that they feel like they achieved in that time together. And so we're very intentional, because we want to make sure that the time is well spent by these amazing women I have in through the program. We have more than what's pictured on here, but we have DOCs, we have college coaches, we have referees at all different levels. We have people in the sports tech world, we have people in the professional ranks as coaches and owners. We have people that are running small businesses within the sports industry, and physical therapists, everything. Why? Because at some capacity, these women are relatable to probably someone working in your club, in your organization, within the governing body that you may help oversee. There's a young woman in the state of Iowa, Samantha Carey, that's here kind of in the bottom right with the gray headband on. She plays at the University of Iowa, but she is this woman that is just kicking tail in the referee world. And she has a strong desire to mentor. She wants to get into coaching someday, really hasn't done it. She's still a player, but refereeing, she's found her way in some paths that she's really passionate about, trying to help young females that are getting in and entering into the referee world, having another female that they can call on and ask questions what it's like to be an entry-level referee. And so we're trying to do that and give this really diverse set of women with different lived experiences, different job titles, different sexual orientations, all of it, so that people find themselves, and women in particular, someone relatable. Because that's really the challenge I'm going to end with, is that our encouragement to you and to all of us is to help women and minorities promote a healthy self-interest. So where and how can we help them to talk about what they want? Help them to understand that they can set those boundaries, help them to get into a spot where they can make that next leap. Where and how is your group having this equitable development opportunities? Are you understanding where mentorship is naturally happening in your group? Frank and honest, mentoring for me when I first entered was because I wasn't married, had no kids, and I could go to the bar at night where most of the male coaches were sitting after training sessions. What if I had kids and I couldn't necessarily go there because I had to go home? Could my experience at the beginning have been different if I couldn't attend where the mentoring was happening? So my challenge to you is it happening naturally in one area, which isn't wrong or right? That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is, if it's happening naturally in one area, but is missing employees, staff members, people that you are invested in because they benefit your organization, are you working to meet with them? Are you maybe considering that these environments maybe aren't truly mentoring and maybe aren't as opportunistic for people to come into, and maybe you need to structure better mentoring within your own organization so that everybody on your staff feels like there's an equal amount of investment in their future, that they get that opportunity to get feedback from you as well. And so just kind of taking that mindset of how can we do the next steps a little bit better, is that when you are going to kind of open those doors to inviting conversations, inviting yourself to give feedback and inviting yourself to receive the feedback, I encourage you to understand that each and every single one of us have conscious and unconscious bias. It is a reality of being human. And that is something that I think when we can understand how that has perhaps shaped the soccer culture and the soccer world expectations of a coach, and how that may have conscious and unconscious and subtle and not so subtle ways where women can feel less welcome. When we start to realize that those have been real boundaries, and we start to think about where are my blind spots, now we can start fixing, because we can have these open conversations, this call in of what have we missed, what has systematically been set up that actually is causing obstacles, and the reason that females come in for a little bit and then go, and this isn't for me. Maybe there's things you can change. So we talk a lot about like low hanging fruit. And so some of the things that I know, there's a company or a group down here in Kansas City that actually has started to find a way to provide childcare. So for mothers, they have found a way to create like a childcare system like right next to the field. And so there is the ability for them to essentially kind of drop their kids off at work, just like if you lived or worked in an office that had childcare there, that was available to them. Because as a mom who coached from 4 to 9 o'clock a lot of nights, I found my babysitter on Craigslist. My mom almost killed me. But that's where I could find a babysitter that was equipped for all the needs that my kids had. But that was a reality. So there's a club in Kansas City that is finding these solutions. Okay. Thinking about women that come in that maybe, to go a step back, maybe want to become mothers someday. Does your club or organization have any policies on becoming pregnant and what time you get off? Are you living in the now of what it looks like to understand that you're pregnant and what could happen to your job if you need to take time off? If you need to take the season off and can't coach your team, What does that mean for your role in your position at the club? That can be a real scary piece for a lot of women who get into that role. I will say on a side note, we need to start talking about dads who coach as well, and dads who referee. It's not just moms who coach and moms who referee. It's about dads who coach and dads referee as well. That's a whole nother soapbox discussion. But right now, are we thinking about some of the low hanging fruit that maybe are some of it? One club was having their like staff meetings at a bar or restaurant that is not the most suitable for environments where maybe women or homosexual men would be super comfortable in. So maybe there's some things where you're thinking about where are certain places going to be, suitable for everybody to feel comfortable in this meeting or topic. One of the things I also talk about, and I'll leave it here, what is your onboarding and recruiting practices to get people into your organization, whether you're hiring, whether you're looking for volunteers to join your board? Who and how do you do that? Is it the same people? Are they the same looking people, same sounding people? And I can tell you, being in enough interviews where I am the only woman and I have 6 to 7 men looking at me and perhaps asking questions that are a little bit borderline, but we'll go to that in a different way, is thinking about what does that environment set up? So what can you do? Is there a female you can bring in if you don't have a female on your board? Is there a third party that you can utilize that has experience that would be valid to the role that you can bring in the hiring process or bring in the recruiting process to help women feel a little bit more comfortable that the environment they're setting in are going to potentially sit in is inclusive, that has a mind and a tone for what it looks like to be one of the only, and that there is steps to be made to bring in more inclusivity. So finding more women to be a part of that process, to be that opening conversation to somebody you want to work for your organization, to make sure the table at the interview process or perhaps even the meeting process looks more diverse. Because that relatable mentorship that we can provide by having more women who have held positions of influence and power and leadership in the game will help the next generation of women see themselves working in the game. And that's a huge piece of this. We want more women to see themselves in the long run working. One of the top pictures is me running an all-female license in the state of Kansas. So we do female licensing. I am a proponent of that. Maybe not on the absolute, long term, is it gonna do everything we want it to, but on the short term, is it opening up doors and getting more women into licensing? Yes, 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 3,000 times yes. And if you want to dive into on the referee and the coaching side, why all female licenses are a big deal, I'll leave it at this. The amount of harassment that has happened to me or people around me by candidates or instructors is beyond your scope of imagination right now. And I will tell you that there has to be safer spaces that women can come into and feel like they can learn and their voice can be heard and they can be just as equal in the candidacy of that license that they're trying to acquire. So there is a lot of reasons beyond that is a benefit, but it is definitely a way that we can be better in providing opportunities for women. And so at the end of the day, my challenge to all of us is that we have these ways that we look at improving ourselves. And that comes out of the fact that we are invested in something that we're a part of, whether that's the game, the organization, the role. And so for all of us, our collective benefits is that by mentoring young women in particular, we're building our bench. We are building the next generation of leaders that are going to impact this game, that are going to sit in the spots that you find people are, and they're going to make it better than what we've made it. And because that's what we all want, right? Now, remember though, the bench isn't always happy just being on the bench. They want to get in the game. And so our responsibility is to help get them in the game, not just sit them on the bench and tell them how great they are and how proud we are that they're here and they're doing the work. Get them in the game. Get them in the game. Give them some tries and then bring them out and talk and give real feedback, real guidance, really be there for when they're struggling. Create the safe spaces for them to talk to you, because the game gets better when we have the entire bench as invested in what this future is. And when that star player has to come out for some reason or leaves for another group, we can plug them in without that dip. So think about it that way. You're building your bench, but your bench is only as happy when they have moments to get in the game and impact as well. The other thing is that doing this and having mentorship and being someone that is an ally in this space is that the status quo is shifting. The public perception from a female side of looking at a club and making a decision, or an organization to decide I want to align or be a part of you, is becoming a lot more of a discussion topic, and a lot more conversations are had. And so when I am asked the question, I am asked more than anything, well, I guess, no, my kids first, how my kids are doing, because that, again, is a frequent question. But the second question is, how do I, Candice, do you know another female coach that can coach for me? And do you have one? I promise we don't have a bunch of females in bunkers that we're letting out like one by one. We truly have this, this understanding that it is a small network right now. We want it to grow, but it is a fairly small network where women are getting smart and calling other women to go, what do you know about this organization? This is what I was told. This is what I hear. What do you know? And so when I check out a website for somebody who wants me to be a part of their organization, I'm looking at the people involved. I'm looking at the diversity that I see on their boards, on their staffing, the people and the resources they're bringing in. When I call or I'm talking to them, I'm doing that same check, because to me, if I'm looking around and I see different colors of people, I see different genders, I see different people leading and different styles of leading, to me, I feel like, okay, they're ready to bring somebody potentially that is a little bit different, that might have some different lived experiences. They're ready to bring somebody like that to the table. And so the public perception, the status quo right now, is that you are inclusive, not just saying it, actually doing it, actually showcasing, and the people you hire, the people you bring, the people you put into leadership roles. Because that representation is way beyond superficial right now. By just saying it, you're not inclusive. And there's enough research and enough things going on right now that there are a lot of people hesitant in getting involved because of all the stories that are coming out. The Roy Dame story is not shocking anyway. A lot of these stories are not shocking about the treatment of players. So you think the treatment of these young females who have been traumatized and abused makes them want to stick around in the game much longer, to want to be coaches, to want to be referees, to want to be front office staff? Heck no. Like, we have to start putting the representation in these leadership roles, helping women to see themselves be leaders within the game, so that our next generation of young girls see them as role models, to see them as lifetime workers in the game, lifetime passionate professionals, whether that's a player or a professional in some sense of the word. And the final collective benefit that we all get by having real mentorship, by having a real emphasis of bringing inclusivity and bringing minorities up into our organization, is that we truly develop mentors and leaders. That we don't just, hey, go teach that person everything you know. We actually teach emotional intelligence with our leaders. Our mentors have quarterly training. Our mentors have monthly support calls. Our mentors go through orientation and training, so that they are as hopefully secure in their role as a mentor to be able to give back in a way that is not just a transactional relationship. It's truly transformational, because that is where the research is showing us really makes progress for those generations that are coming up next. And particularly when we think coming up next, don't forget just the women that are maybe 21, 22 coming out of college and thinking about staying in the game. Think about the women we've also lost. Think about the 35, 40, 45, 50-year-old women who were like, it sucked when I tried to be a coach or referee or whatever, but I heard it got better. Yeah, it's gotten way better. We'd love to have you back involved in the game, because that's happening as well. And you can find some absolute jewels of fantastic people to make your organization better by actually opening that door and showing them the inclusivity that you're operating under now. So I'm hitting that kind of final time. At any point in time, if anyone is truly interested in the program, whether on an individual basis or for your actual club, I will take the time to show you what the platform really setup is like, excuse me. It's very social media feel and a very user-friendly experience, both through the app and through the platform. I can show you the monthly schedules, and we can even talk about opportunities to partner at a club level or member group level and give you what opportunities you might have to purchase memberships, portions or full memberships, purchase portions or full of one-on-one sessions for the people that are working in your organizations directly. So I'm happy to do the full demo of the platform at any point in time for anyone interested in seeing that. But I hope if anything, you just maybe come out of this conversation with a little bit more of that understanding to maybe where some of the gaps are in your organization to get more inclusivity into the people that are working, or inclusivity practices, excuse me, to open that door for some people that have some different lived experiences, but some amazing knowledge and ideas to bring to the table. So Jenny, thank you. That was a lot of rambling for me, and I don't know if there's any questions in the chat, but I'm happy to take those at this time.
I'm not seeing any in the chat. Is there anyone who would like to speak up and ask a question or offer any perspective, about their experience, if you feel safe enough to do that?
Yeah, Jenny, Jim Albertson here.
Hey, Jim.
At least I'll get the ball rolling, hopefully. I'll have a question afterwards. Candice, I, as an individual, would like to participate in your program. So how do we go about doing that as an individual? As an individual, you can visit fearlessandcapable.com, and you can actually join directly on the website to get the membership going. That always comes with a free 30-day trial. So with a free 30-day trial, you get actually into the platform and you get to participate in the workshop events and the team huddles. So that's always available 24/7 to just jump right in. And I've had people jumping in the middle of the night where I feel like something has spurred them and they've decided that this is the moment for them. The one-on-ones, Jim, always start with a contact to me directly, and we have a conversation to better understand where you're at right now and what you're looking for, just to make sure that this one-on-one will be an experience that you're ready to put the time and effort into. Not to say it's such a grandiose amount of time, but you're talking personal here. You're really going to put some effort into the action steps that your mentor is going to lay out. You're going to be responsible for checking in, and so we want to make sure that one, you're ready, and then two, I want to make sure that they understand that they do have someone answering on the other side of the line. And I use the Marco Polo ideal. I heard this from a great friend of mine, that if someone's yelling Marco, my job is to hopefully always be able to say Polo and answer that call for help. So fearlessandcapable.com, you can join the membership today, right now, and then the one-on-one sessions, you can fill out the one-on-one contact square field, whatever form, to reach out to me, and I'll be able to connect to you here. And usually about 48 hours, we set up a call and talk. Okay, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I know it's a late night and I talk a lot and fast. So if this needs to absorb and sit, absolutely. For anybody that wants to reach out in the next few days, happy again to sit down, talk more about maybe where you are at or where your group's at and how this can come in alignment. I'm working with lots of clubs right now, a lot of different groups, not just soccer, by the way. We've kind of filtered into women's wrestling and softball. We're working through a handful of different roles as well. And so happy to kind of sit down and think about ways that we can bring in mentors that are maybe relatable if you're in a different kind of field, but then also certainly wanting to sit down and kind of see where and how I can directly help you, or maybe some of the mentors in our program could directly talk to you about ways to improve, become more inclusive, whatever it may be. So we've got a really awesome group that is coming together and answering that call. They're being the Polos in the Marco Polo game, and I feel fortunate that they've all agreed to join me in this hope that we can make this a little bit better and attract and retain more women in the game. So Jenny, if there's no more questions, I'm happy to let everybody go to bed too.
Yeah. Candice, thanks. I can just maybe put a little bow on this and wrap it up, that as you're going through your first couple of slides and relating about some of the things, the challenges or the pigeonholing that happens to young girls and as they grow. I was just envisioning some of those moments too in my life that I haven't thought about, but certainly came up. And an interesting one, when I was in preschool, my mom it was after I was out of preschool and I was old enough to know, she told me that the preschool called her and was concerned because I asked them to start calling me James. I wanted to be called James. And the explanation was when my mom said, well, first of all, why is that a problem? Like, she's a preschooler. But
Right.
but when she probed further, she said, well, why is that a problem? Why does that matter? And, Jenny, why? And I said, well, the boys get to go outside at recess. The girls have to stay inside. So just that, and that has stayed with me. So to your point of those things that shape and that may on the surface seem inconsequential, think of the reverse of that as well. The impact that a positive exchange, a positive moment, even a 160-minute session of mentoring, the trajectory that and the impact that can have on someone's life. So I appreciate what your platform is doing. Proud to know you personally and be able to, on a personal level, endorse this, but the organization is investing in this and trying to bring it to our membership, because it is the things Candice was talking about was happening 30 years ago when I broke into the industry. And it is way past time that there is someone talented and organized enough to really take this on and start to help make a difference in retention. And we all know in the youth sports world, retention with coaches, retention with referees, even retention with volunteers, it needs to be an intentional effort to keep people in the game. So we appreciate what you're doing, and I will make this recording available, and we will continue to go out to our members and help spread the word. So thanks for sharing tonight, and I appreciate everyone joining us on a late evening.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Go get some sleep and we'll talk soon. Thanks.